Got some books back from CGC, got some artwork, and got some cool books that I picked up for the PC. Stay tuned and we'll go through them. Hey gang, Spider Paul. It's the end of the year up here in New Hampshire. We're getting ready for the holiday season, and I haven't done a video in a while, so I thought I'd update you on some stuff that came in the mail, some stuff I picked up at a small con in the area, and some stuff that's been going on in Dover, New Hampshire, the next town over. Lots of things happening. First of all, we'll start with, we got to go back a little bit. It's been 3 years ago or so. My girlfriend and I went to a small show in Nashua, New Hampshire. And, you know, I like to support people getting books going and meet new artists and talk to people that I may not have met or have been familiar with. And we met a guy named Rich Woodall, who worked for a Scout Comics imprint called Black Caravan. He's got, I think Johnny Raygun is one of his books. Electric Black is a Black Caravan book. He did a series called Gods of Brutality, which a metal guitarist went to hell. And anytime I can send a guitarist to hell, I'm going to read about that. So we got talking to Rich a couple of years ago when we first met him. And he asked where we were from, and we said Somersworth, New Hampshire. And he says, oh, do you go to Jetpack Comics? I said, yeah, I've been there. I stop in every once in a while. And he says, I'm from Somersworth. I know the guys at Jetpack really well. And so we talked about being from the same town. And he said, hey, if you have anything you want me to sign, all you got to do is give it to the guys at Jetpack. Tell them to put it in my box. I'll be happy to sign anything you want. You don't have to worry about anything at all. And we'll just get it back to you, which I thought was really nice. So from that point on, anytime we went to a con and I saw Rich, you got to go say hi and talk and see how he's doing, what's up with the family. And, you know, we've seen him at Granite Con. We've seen him at a few different cons all over the place. And this week in Dover, New Hampshire, they dedicated a state marker. You know, the big green signs where it usually says that in 1872, so-and-so built a still at this location out in the woods. Well, this one's in Dover at the location where the house Eastman and Laird lived in when they created the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles back in the 80s. So they actually have an official state marker now that talks about the Turtles and the creation of those characters, and it's right in the next town. And they also have out on Union Street in Dover, they put a manhole cover, but it's emblazoned with the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and engraved and inscribed. It's really cool. So those guys have been in town all week. I didn't get to go to the dedication and meet Eastman this time around because I was unable to the day that it happened. But at a small museum in town, they had Rich. So my girlfriend and I said, oh, we got to go say hi to Rich. We went over. There's a real small crowd. He's over there at a table selling some books to help the museum out. And I said, hey, you know, I've got your autograph on a bunch of stuff. Would you do a sketch for me? And he has a book called Sergeant Werewolf that if you get a chance, if you see it, check this thing out. There's Sergeant Werewolf. He did this cool sketch for me at the museum. So on the way out, the guy that runs the museum said, oh, if you like turtles, we're going to have Steve Levine in a couple weeks. So we had met Steve and his wife back on a free comic book day that we did. We sold some books at a buddy's comic book shop in Dover. And I said, yeah, we'll come back for that. So this past week, we went over there and met with Steve Levine, and he remembered hanging out with us at the Free Comic Book Day show. We talked a little bit, and I asked him, would you mind doing a sketch for me? And Steve did this one. So I got to sign Ninja Turtles. And he also did a signed and remarked turtle book for me. And I've got one up on the wall back behind me. We're a little far away. It's in the green back there. It's a TMNT number 5 that he signed and remarked. That is very, very cool, and I'm real happy to have that. So I haven't really done much with sketches, but now I think I'm going to move from here, sign my book, to seeing if I can fill this with as many sketches as possible. Also, last month, in the Seacoast area, there was a small show that Chris from Chris's Comics runs. Now, I've been buying books from Chris's Comics for years. I don't buy as much stuff from him now because I'm doing more things on my own. But I've known him since the 90s. I bought books from him since the 90s. So when he started doing this show, I said, hey, I'll go to that. So I usually go to Chris's shows, and he has some good deals, and there's a lot of vendors, and it's, some toys and some comic books, and it's a small show. But if you got some time to spend there, you can get some pretty good deals. So I went over to Chris's show, and I got some stuff from my Spider-Man collection. This wasn't from Chris, this was from another vendor. I got ASM 163, nice Kingpin cover. I got ASM 230 that I was missing, Juggernaut. And the big books, these two I got from Chris. Chris was selling all his wall books half off. So I had money left over from what we made from selling books at Granite Con. I sold a lot of dollar books and a lot of inexpensive books and bulk stuff. So I took that money and I turned it into ASM 22 from Chris. And to get away from ASM a little bit, I got Star Wars #1 in a newsstand. And this is a pretty clean copy. Now, anything I've bought from Chris, when I buy books from him, I don't worry about going through counting pages, looking for cutouts. Anything I've ever bought from him has been high grade and has been a great price. So I'm debating now sending these into CGC. I think I definitely want to send this one. I've sent books in without a cleaning press that I got from Chris, and they've come back in the 9s or a 9.8, Matter of fact, we'll talk about that in a minute because we got some CGC stuff that came in this week, and we'll get to that. But before we do, I did go on Whatnot. Very Gary and the Pressable Defects had a show, and I'm always looking to fill holes. So Gary had ASM 238, which I've been looking for a while, because at this point, my ASM collection went from 239 through current with no gaps. So, the comic nerd in me said, I got to fill the gaps. And I was looking for the right price on a 238. And he had it on Whatnot. So I got it from Gary. This one doesn't have the tattoos, which is the only downside to it. But, with the tattoos in it, the price of the book jumps way up. So I figured I'll start with this, I'll fill the hole, and if I can find one with the tattoos for a good price, then we'll upgrade. And if not, I have at least my copy of 238. So now I think I'm back to, that brings me back to around ASM 211, I think, 211 to present with no holes. And then I have stuff that goes before that, but there's gaps, and I'm slowly working at filling it all the way out. And eventually I'll get it as far back as I can. Don't know if I'll ever own an AF-15. I'm hoping. And I'll always keep my eyes open for one at the right price. The market being what it is now, this is a great time to buy stuff. So uh, I'm looking at filling in more high dollar books and buying things that I normally would hold off on because the prices are down. People are trying to sell stuff and move things. All right, so CGC. This year I got myself a membership to CGC. When we were at Terrificon, I brought some books. I'm sorry, not Terrificon, KingCon in New Jersey. I brought some books down with me and gave them to Erod 212 to go through and press and clean because I wanted to send them in to get graded. And he did that for me. I got the books back and sent them to CGC, and they came back. The first one we'll look at is Batman Adventures 12. I picked this up in Dover a couple of years ago, just sitting on the top of a stack, and I try to get the glare off of it, and got it for a great price. And so I said, I got to get that thing cleaned and pressed and get it graded and see how it does. And Erod did a good job on it for something that was sitting on top of a stack, and it was loose. I don't even think it was in a bag and board when I found it. Erod took care of it, and I got an 8.5 on Batman Adventures 12. Now, I mentioned Chris before, and at Terrificon this year, Chris had a bunch of stuff he was selling, and he had an Avengers Annual 10 up on the wall. And I thought, all right, maybe it's time to pull the trigger on that one. So I bought Avengers Annual 10, and I sent that one into CGC. Now, this one I didn't send to Erod. It looked pretty clean. I thought it would come back maybe an 8.5, somewhere in the 9s. I figured it would be fairly high grade. I didn't know if it would make a 9.8, but I said I'm going to take a shot and send it in because it's from Chris, and like I said, his stuff comes back pretty clean. So this is my Avengers Annual 10 with the first appearance of Rogue right down there in the black, and it came back a 9.0. So I'm pretty happy with that. Real happy to have that back in my collection. And finally, the big boy book. I bought Ultimate Fallout 4. I was in Chris's shop back around 2011, and there was all this buzz about this new Spider-Man. I thought, new Spider-Man, what the... And I hadn't read any of the Ultimate line or any of that stuff. So I picked up a couple of those books, and I picked up this Ultimate Fallout 4 off the shelf at less than cover price because I had a subscription, so I got a little bit of a discount. And I gave that to Erod and said, man, see what you can do with this. It's been in my long box for 15 years. Came back at 9.4. So real happy about that. I didn't really expect it on 9.8. I mean, I've had a lot of these books sitting in long boxes for a long time. They've gone through a couple of moves, and I read all my stuff. So this wasn't bought with the intention of, oh, this is gonna be a big book and I'm gonna keep it pristine, and you know, nobody knew that then. I just liked Spider-Man, and I thought, no, let's see what's going on with this, and I read it. As a matter of fact, I bought a copy for my grandson, and I gave it to him. And Lord knows what happened to that. I asked him about it at one point, and he said, yeah, he said, I think I got it in my room somewhere. I said, well, that's a big book now. It's worth some money, so if you can find it and you haven't destroyed it, you might want to dig it out. So those are the pickups. Some CGC stuff, some artwork, and a bunch of new books to fill some holes in the collection. Holidays are coming up. We're getting ready for everything up here in New Hampshire. We haven't had much snow, got a little bit of a snow, but it's all pretty much gone now at this point. But hope you all have a great holiday, and we'll see you again soon. Thanks for watching.